feel um like we forget sometimes that we are actually offering a service. Like as entrepreneurs, we forget that we are actually creating something to serve a community, to serve a body of people, and they're going to get like benefit from our product or our service. Sometimes we lose that and become a little bit selfish and just thinking, well, I'm just going to give them what I want. They can either buy it or not, right? And so, and that attitude can actually lead you into not having a sustainable business, right? And so you always want to take your customer feedback into consideration. You always want to listen to your customers because it helps them. It makes them feel like they are building a business with you. Like we're in this together. Like you're really building a community. What's up, fam? Before we get into today's episode, I want you to go check out our website at www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list. We are creating the ultimate accountability group for entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business leader, if you are a dreamer, we want you to be a part of our group. All you got to do is go to www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list, and we'll take it from there. This thing is going to be bigger than us, and we want you to be a part of it. Again, go to www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list. Now, let's get back to the show. What's going on, good people? Welcome to another episode of the I Got Dreams podcast, the ultimate accountability podcast, where we help entrepreneurs go from A to B, from idea to execution. And this week is no different. We got another topic that's going to help you to jump off the porch and go after your dreams. But you guys know how we do it here. You know how we rock. Drop in the comments what's one thing that you did last week to make you a better entrepreneur. What's one thing you did last week to make your business better? Um, if you're watching this video on YouTube or on Instagram or wherever, just comment below. Let me know what is that one thing that you did to make your business better, to make you a better entrepreneur, that made you a better business leader. What is that one thing? For me, that one thing was, and it really had nothing to do with my business, believe it or not. It actually had to do with me personally. So one thing I did last week was I made a commitment to health, right? I made a commitment to get back in shape, to lose weight so I can be a better entrepreneur, a better business leader, because we all have heard that saying that health is wealth, right? Health is wealth. And you can't really run a business if you are always worrying about your health, right? So I have made a decision to live a healthier lifestyle. So what did that look like for me last week, right? It looked like making healthier choices in regards to food, making healthier choices in regards to food, right? Eating salads, more eating juicing, like eating my greens, my fruit, and also working out, man. Getting back in the gym, being active, and just being committed to an overall life of fitness and health and wellness, right? And so what that resulted in was that your boy lost over 5 pounds last week, right? Your boy lost over 5 pounds. And so that's one thing I'm holding myself accountable to. That I want you to hold me accountable to it too, is to continue on this health journey, continue to lose this weight, and continue to show up as a better entrepreneur, as a better business leader. So that's my one thing that I did. Remember, I want to hear yours as well. So in the comment section, let me know what is one thing that you did that made you a better entrepreneur last week. One thing that you did that made you a better business leader last week. Drop it in the comments. I'm excited to read it. And let's hold each other accountable to wherever we say it, right? So let's jump into it today. So today we're talking about creating a minimum valuable product, an MVP, right? Creating a minimum valuable product. And this topic is really a big topic for me, right? It's huge. Um, in order for you to go from A to B, from idea to execution, right? It is. This is a pivotal episode, right? So creating a minimal valuable product, and so a minimal valuable product is basically the least product or service that you can offer to your customers, right? Like the least version of that product, the least version of that service that you can put out there, get feedback from your customers, adjust based on that feedback, and then build up on the minimum valuable product that you have already created, because you have now realized what your customer really wants. And what this process actually help you do is to not build a product that no one wants, right? To not build a product that anyone wants, to not spend so much time, money, and resources building something that someone does not want, that your customer does not want. And it helps you to get started quicker. It helps you to get started faster, um, and actually putting your product out there and then getting feedback, then adjusting your product based on the feedback that you get from your customers, right? So let's jump into it. Why should you create a minimal valuable product? Why should you create an MVP? Number one, it costs you less money, right? It costs you less money and it costs you less resources. Again, when you're building a minimal valuable product, you're only focusing on the things that is going to actually um, get your product in your customer hand the quickest, right? You're only focused on those activities that are going to allow you to get your product out there and give it to your customer so they can then give you feedback and you adjust your product um as based on the feedback, right? It's not creating something from all the way from A to Z. It's really just creating something from A to B, right? Is you created A from B, A to B, give it to your customer, let your customer give you feedback on that from A to B. Then you go to B to C and C to D and D to E and so on and so forth, all the way to Z, right? All the way until you have built a product that is sustainable. You have built a sustainable business, right? So that's number one. It'll cost you less money. Number 2, and I've been saying, like, all the reasons already, so, right now I'm just putting them in bullet points for you so you can really understand it. So, number 1 is that it will cost you less money. Number 2 is that you will get customer feedback that can help you improve your product. You will get customer feedback that can help you improve your product. So this is very important, right? Again, we don't want to be out here building something that no one wants, right? We don't want to spend all of our time, all our money, all our resources on this idea, and then when we put it out there and realize that no one really wants this, and then what you will actually do if you do that is you will achieve failure. And so achieving failure is basically successfully executing a plan that failed, right? So you successfully executed the plan, which is to build a product, right? But you failed when you put it out there because then no one wanted it. No one wanted that product. And it's a good book out there, a great book, and we're actually going over it in our book club, right? And it's called the Lean Startup. And this is basically the whole premise of the Lean Startup is to create a minimal valuable product, put it out there, get customer feedback, and then adjust your product based on that customer feedback. It's all in an effort to save you time, money, and resources, and to help you build a sustainable business that has customers, that has your customers that are using your product, right? And you do that based off the feedback that you get from your customers because they are literally telling you what they want, right, in your product. So number one is that it will cost you less money, right? Number two is that customer feedback can help you improve your product. Number three is that you will create a sustainable business. You'll create a sustainable business by using the minimal valuable product method, right? So how how does that help you create a minimal value? How does a minimal valuable product help you to create a sustainable business. So it helps you create a sustainable business because one, you're not building a product all the way out from A to Z. You're building it from A to B, getting customer feedback, adjusting based off that feedback, and then you're moving on to the next point, right? So what is that? That is doing is it is allowing you to get that feedback early on and building your product based on that feedback, not just by your own assumptions, but by you testing your assumptions before you get to point Z, right? Before you go from A to Z, you are testing your assumptions. So you're building something, putting it out there, getting feedback, and adjusting your product based off that feedback. That is the model that I have built this entire podcast on, right? So that I am building this entire podcast on. So I had a minimal valuable product of this podcast because again, this right here is what you see is like the minimum that I thought that I could do for this podcast, right? Because the vision that I had is not this, but I'm building up to that vision, right? So again, the vision that I have for this podcast as far as like look and aesthetics is that I was gonna be sitting in one chair. I was gonna have my guest sit in another chair. There wasn't any table included at all. And so I was gonna have like LED lights, and it was gonna be like a nice vibe where me and my guest, we're just talking, we're just having a conversation about entrepreneurship, about business, and about their stories, and in an effort to help you entrepreneurs, you aspiring entrepreneurs, to take that first step and going from A to B, from idea to execution, and to reaching your dreams, right? And so that was the vision, right? That's how I wanted to look. The sound was going to be crisp and clear and all that good stuff. But I created the minimum valuable product of this business, of this podcast, by one, having a table, having chairs that I already got that my customer and I sit in, by putting up wallpaper and putting up this sign behind me. And these aren't the mics that I started out with. Like this, if you're looking on YouTube, this is not the mic that I started off with. I started off with a really cheap mic off of Amazon, right? And so the feedback that I was getting from my listeners, from my fam, from the people who actually listen to this podcast was that, man, your sound is really not great, right? Your sound is trash. And so based off that feedback, I went and bought another mic, right? I bought more mics to help my sound quality become better based off that feedback, right? And that's how I'm going to continue to build this podcast. Like the other day, someone told me, "Hey, you can really do a lot more with your studio, right? You can dress it up a little more." So my next change, my next adjustment is going to be the vibe of the studio. It might be the two chairs that I originally had in my mind when starting this, right? But I'm doing it based off that feedback, right? Because again, my customer is the one who I want to serve, right? And so I feel um, like we forget sometimes that we are actually offering a service. Like as entrepreneurs, we forget that we are actually creating something to serve a community, to serve a body of people, and they're going to get like benefit from our product or our service. Sometimes we lose that and become a little bit selfish and just thinking, well, I'm just going to give them what I want. They can either buy it or not, right? And so, and that attitude could actually lead you into not having a sustainable business, right? And so you always want to take your customer feedback into consideration. You always want to listen to your customers because it helps them. It makes them feel like they are building a business with you. Like we're in this together. Like you're really building a community. And that's what I'm doing with this podcast, right? So I have a community of people that are actually helping me build this podcast. Every feedback that they give, anything that they can help or help me improve, like I'm listening, I'm taking into consideration. And if it's if I like it, if I agree with it, I adjust, right? Like when someone told me that my sound needed work, and I heard that like from it was literally in 1 week. I heard it from like 3 or 4 different people that said, "Man, your sound need to be better." And so I took that consideration, like, and I went back and listened. I'm like, yeah, they're correct. I need to make my sound better. And so what did I do? I adjusted. I bought new mics, and that's my way of adjustment, based on their feedback, right? So again, the whole premise: create a minimal valuable product, put it out there, to your customers, get their feedback, and adjust based on their feedback, right? So, why should you create a minimal valuable product? Number one was it'll cost you less money. Number two was customer feedback can help you improve your product or service. And number three, you'll create a sustainable business. Um, Now, the next point: how do you actually create a minimum valuable product? So, what is the process of creating a minimum valuable product? So, think about your product or service that you can offer and what that minimum version looks like, right? So, think about the minimum valuable product, that you can create for your business. So, if you have an app, so the well, let me start right here, right? So I had an app. I created an app, in college, right? And so there was this startup weekend, right? And this was my first time ever creating a minimal valuable product. Of that app, that I created at that business competition, the startup weekend, I created basically a mock-up version of what that app looked like. And that mock-up version was just a slideshow. It was just a slideshow. So like if I click on something, it just go to the next slide, but it looked like the app was actually working, right? I didn't have an app on the phone. It wasn't on the Apple Store or Google Play Store or anything like that. It was literally a slideshow that showed you what the app will look like if it was really on, the Apple Store or on the Google Play Store, right? And so that was my minimum valuable product, right? And so when people saw it, they instantly knew or they had an idea of what I wanted to build, right? And so when you're thinking of your minimal valuable product, when you're thinking about your business, think of what's the least version that you can do to create, that minimal valuable product where you can put it in front of somebody's face. When you can put it in front of your customer face, they can use it, they can play around with it, give you feedback on it, and then you go and adjust as you need, adjust based on that feedback, right? And so that's the first step. Think about your business and think about the minimum version of that you can create and put it out there in front of your customers, right? Customers, right? Let's say you have a restaurant, right? You have a restaurant idea and you want a building, you want a commercial kitchen, you want nice chairs and all that nice tables. You want a nice little vibe, but let's say you don't have the money to do all that, right? So how you can start small, how you can create the minimal valuable product is really just start cooking in your own kitchen, right? Start cooking in your own kitchen and feeding like the people that you know. Like start with the people that you know, friends and family, and invite them over or whatnot, or offer like a lunch menu and you cook for them, right? And you set it up that way and get their feedback and ask them like how is my cooking? How does it taste? What could I have done better? And you adjust based off their feedback, right? And so that's another example of a minimal valuable product, right? And so again, number one is to think about your business and then think about the minimum version that you can offer for that, right? Number two is to actually create the thing that you're wanting, right? Actually create the minimum valuable product. Again, I go back to the restaurant idea, right? So the restaurant, like you can't really do it right now. Like you don't have the finances, you don't have the resource, you don't have the whatever. You can't do it right now. But what you can do is cook out your kitchen. Is to invite your family and friends over, charge them for the meal, and then ask them, hey, how can I improve on this meal? Like, what did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Was it too saucy? Was it not flavorful enough? Like, how can I make this better? Right, and you adjust based off that feedback. Right, you adjust based off that knowledge that you just gained. Right, And so again, number two is just to create that minimal valuable product. Just jump out there and create it. And number three is to send it to a group of people who will be interested in it and to give you feedback. Again, this is where you are now getting feedback from your customers and the people that you're getting feedback from. They're called early adopters, right? So they are early adopters of your product or service. They are the first people to try it and to give you feedback. That's what early adopters are. They adopt your product or adopt your service early, like when you first put it out there, right? And they're giving you feedback to help you adjust your product or service and make it better, right? And so, again, how to create a minimal valuable product is the number one. Think about your business and then visualize the minimal valuable product that you can offer of that, the minimal valuable version that you can offer of that product or service. Number two is to actually create that minimal valuable product, create it. And then number three is to put it out there, right? Send it to a group of people who will be interested in it and to give you feedback, right? Giving giving the feedback and you listening to the feedback is the critical part in this whole thing, right? Because they are your customers, right? They're telling you what they want and they are hoping and looking for you to provide that, right? And if you don't do it really, if you don't adjust based off the feedback that you're getting, like you are really digging yourself in the hole, right? You're not trying to build a sustainable business and like you're really not even looking out for your customer best interest, right? And then and now we can get into talking about like pride, right? Taking your pride out of it because the feedback that you get is 9 times out of 10 won't always be positive, right? Like the feedback that you want really won't be positive. It's going to be something that's going to make you change. It's going to be something that's going to make your product better, right? That is what you want. Like you want the negative feedback because you want them to like say like, hey, you could have did this better, you could have did that better, and that's what iron shopping iron look like, right? That's what iron shopping iron looks like. It's like you tell me something that I'm giving you something, right? And you're giving me feedback on it to actually help me to make this product better, to help me to build a sustainable business, right? So when you're getting that feedback, again, really take into consideration what your customer is telling you because they are the ones that are going to help you to create a sustainable business, right? So now what are the benefits of creating an MVP, right? What are the benefits of creating an MVP? One is that your customers will know about your business quicker. Again, these are called your early adopters, right? And so when you have created a minimal valuable product, you have put it out there. Now people are using it. People are using that product. People are using that service, right? They're giving you their feedback, right? And so like now, like they can recommend other people like to use this, to use your product. They can give you referrals and all that good stuff, right? Like people actually know about you. And you can also use this for marketing, right? People know about your product. So before you even go any further, they can tell you whether or not you have something good, right? They can tell you whether you're on the right track or you need to go to another track, right? So your customers will know about your business quicker, right? You have put the word out there, right? And so now, um, well, this is actually before the feedback part. Like you have people using your stuff, right? Which is what we want to do. I want people to listen to this podcast, right? You want people to use your product. You want people to use your service. By creating a minimal valuable product, we can do that quicker, right? If I would have waited to build this studio out to where I wanted it to be, this podcast probably wouldn't be happening right now. Like I probably would still be in the planning stage. I probably would still be waiting for whatever. But whatever I know that I probably wouldn't be here talking and doing this podcast right now if I would have waited um for the right vision to come along, right? And instead of just doing the minimal valuable product. And so again, your customer will know about your business quicker. So, what are the benefits of creating an MVP, a minimum value product? Number one is that your customer will know about your business quicker. Number two is that you'll be building something your customers want. You will be building something your customer wants, right? And how would you be building something your customers want? Because they are telling you exactly what they want. Again, the feedback portion. The feedback is so important, right? So when you building the minimum valuable product, when you put it out there, don't just put it out there. Ask them how you can improve. Ask them what did you like? What you didn't like? How can I improve? Right. That is going to help you build a sustainable business. Right. That is going to help you to build something that they actually want, that your customer actually wants. Right. And so, number two of why or what are the benefits of creating a minimal valuable product is that you'll be building something your customer wants. And number three is that you'll save your resources. You'll save your time, you'll save your money, you'll save like your knowledge, whatever it is, by building the minimal valuable product. Because again, we're not going all the way from A to Z. We are going from A to B, putting it out there, getting customer feedback, adjust our product, and then go from B to C. And we keep doing that formula over and over again until we reach point Z, which is a sustainable business. And that is the formula. Again, go from A to B, create a minimal valuable product, put it out there, get customer feedback, adjust your product based off that feedback, and then put it put the minimal valuable product out there again, based off that feedback that you got from your customer, right? And so that is the formula, right? You keep adjusting, right? Keep adjusting based off that feedback. That is how you will save your resources, right? Because the worst thing that you can do as an entrepreneur, especially as someone who's starting out, is to create something from A to Z and put it out there and find out that nobody really wants this. Like nobody cares, nobody is using it, and it is deemed a failure, right? It is deemed a failure. And that is sickening. That's a sickening feeling because I just wasted a lot of money. I just wasted a lot of time. And so this process of building a minimal valuable product, putting it out there, getting customer feedback, then adjusting based off that feedback, that will help you save a lot of resources, a lot of time, and a lot of money. So again, the 3 points as to what the benefits are of creating a minimal valuable product is that number one, your customer will know about your business quicker. Number two is that you'll be building something your customer wants. And number three is that you'll save your resources, right? So we had some more questions that came in about creating a minimum valuable product. These actually were some great questions. So the first question is, how do you know when you have a valuable minimum valuable product, right? How do you know when you have a valuable MVP? And so, in my opinion, you'll know you have a valuable MVP when it looks like the vision that you want, right? Like when you can create it and your customer can actually use it, right? You can actually put it out there and get feedback, right? So again, I'm gonna go back to my college app example, right? When I created my minimal valuable product as a slideshow, right? And so once I finished that slideshow and like put through like every feature that I thought that the app would have, and then I could show it to people and like properly explain it to them, like, this is the minimum valuable product. If it was real, this is exactly how it will work. They can say, "Oh, great! Like I will use that," or "Oh, what about this feature?" When you can put it out there and start getting that feedback, that's when you know you have a valuable minimum valuable product, right? When you have created something and you can just put it out there and immediately get feedback from it. That's when you know. The second question is, how long should you stick with the minimal valuable product? How long should you stick with the minimum valuable product? And my answer to that is it depends on your customer feedback, right? It depends on your customer feedback. So let's say I have a test subject, 10 people, right? I have 10 people that's using my product, right? And let's say, just for simple terms, the product is this podcast, right? So I have 10 people listening to my podcast. Um, I have 6 people tell me that, "Hey, your sound is trash, like, you need to work on sound, it needs to be a little better," right? So that's 6 people telling me the same thing. Let's say I have the other 4 that are telling me that, I need, um, a better vision, like, my studio needs to be better, need a better studio, right? And so based off the feedback, I know I need to work on my sound. Why? Because more people are telling me that my sound needs to be better than they're telling me that my studio needs to be upgraded, right? So now I'm going to adjust based off that feedback. I'm going to adjust my sound, and maybe later on I will adjust my set. But the first thing I will do is adjust my sound because it's a 6 to 4 difference, right? So based off the 10 listeners, more of them want to hear me better. More of them want to hear me clear. So right now, I know I need to focus on my sound, right? And so that's a great point. And I just thought about this. When you get that feedback from your customer, you will know what your next step needs to be. So that's another benefit. So when you get that feedback from your customer, you'll know what your next step needs to be in for your product in your build stage of your product because they're going to tell you what it needs to be. Man, that is so good, bro. So like you won't be sitting here like just waiting, just thinking, just twiddling your thumbs, like, okay, what can I do next, right? Like you'll adjust your business based on the feedback that your customer gave you. Yo, that's good right there, right? So those were the 2 questions that had came in, man. So we just learned another way to take us from A to B, from idea to execution. And to me, man, this is really the most important one is creating that minimal valuable product. Again, the whole thing is to create a minimal valuable product, put it out there, get feedback on that minimal valuable product, and adjust it based off that feedback. So you're building something that your customers want, and you're building a sustainable business based off that feedback, right? Again, that feedback is so important. And if you want to learn more about this, about the minimal valuable product, I highly suggest the book, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. It really breaks down this. Again, we went over it in our book club where we go live like every Tuesday at 7 a.m. And so make sure to tune in to that book club. You know, if you want to, go subscribe to our emailing list at the iGotDreamsPodcast.com and join the mailing list, and you can be added into that book club. So, creating a minimal valuable product. Again, this is an important step. So, you really want to um, pay attention to this. Go back and listen to this if you missed anything. If you got any questions, DM me, man. Like, DM me. I'd be more than happy to help you to go from A to B, from idea to execution. Hey, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Again, we are learning and growing as entrepreneurs. We are learning and growing as business leaders. Hey, we in here. Let's do this, man. Thank you again for listening to another episode of the I Got Dreams podcast, the ultimate accountability podcast, where we take entrepreneurs like you from A to B, from idea to execution, to help you jump off the porch and go after your dreams. Hey, I'm your host, Mike Davis. Y'all have a blessed and beautiful day. Peace. Bam. Thank you for listening to this episode. I know you just received a lot of value. So, look, here's what I want you to do now. Go to our social media platforms on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok at I Got Dreams Podcast everywhere, and like, comment, subscribe to all those channels, and let's continue the conversation on there. Look, I told you before, we are creating the ultimate accountability group for entrepreneurs, and we want you to be a part of that group. So go ahead, like, comment, subscribe to our channels, at I Got Dreams Podcast everywhere, and we'll see you there. Peace.